overtly. Okay, that last one was a bunch. We're gonna shrink it down a little bit. Today on Knowledge Drop, I'm going to talk about the value of logic. So personally, I value logic more than emotion. I really do. I feel like my personal view is that emotion gets in the way of doing what is logically correct. And I feel like that's the point of emotion, to get in the way of doing what is logically correct. And I feel like it is silly to act on impulse and emotion than it is to act on fact and logic. So I'm basically going to spend this entire episode telling you why you should stop being so emotional, dang it. But then again, Dan Ariely basically once said in the book Predictably Irrational, humans are terrible at rationality. They're terrible at logic. They're so bad at it because humans are beings of emotion, and that sucks. Me personally, I think that's stupid because when you think about it, when you actually take them apart and look at this, it's when you look at it logically, logic makes more sense, but if you look at it emotionally, emotion makes more sense. Even my emotions say, please refer to logic's answer before you get yourself killed or worse. But then again, who I am as a person, the way my brain is actually structured, I'm kind of set to inherently value logic more. Even though I'm personally terrible at it, just because that's the problem with having the strands of DNA that I do, with having the brain inside this head, with just being part of this wretched species we call humans. And even I do not like my own fallibility, but there it is, and I know it's there, but that doesn't mean I have to like it, and I don't. And there's even the horrible possibility of logic's own fallibility, because the idea behind logic is cool and calculating of take all the factors, using the factors to deduce a solution. And even then, the problem with that is that emotion even then interferes, even when you're trying to be purely logical, because the solution is based on what you believe to be correct, and what you believe to be correct is usually based on emotion. So emotion's buckering up your logic, and it's I mean, I guess the best thing I can say is I try to be as logical as I can, because I know I can't be forever the most logical. I can never do the logic forever, and I do not like that. I would rather just do the logic, but I cannot always do the logic. I cannot always logic correctly. But then again, am I even logicking correctly? Verbs. That's the thing about the English language. You can turn adjectives into verbs, and it weirds the language. And as Calvin and Hobbes once said, I'm basically saying that verbing weirds language. So basically, if you think about it, Calvin totally predicted I can't even. But moving on. Though I personally prefer logic, I know that I cannot be 100% logical, and that still upsets me. But then again, it only upsets me when I'm actively thinking about it, because I can't be constantly thinking about how much I hate being one way or another, because I gotta sleep sometime, right? I gotta sit on the computer and play games to distract myself from the horrible existential dread that is my mind and what it tells me. But if you tell me I'm not a logical person, even by the grounds of this argument I'm making, even if you use this very video to tell me that I'm not logical, I'm going to say, I know, it sucks. How meta is that though? That I can almost predict what someone's going to try to do. I can only predict these things because I feel like I might try to do it at some point in time myself, or I have tried to do that at some point in time myself by calling someone out on that particular aspect to make myself feel better about myself and my own shortcomings. But I moved on from the call out things, at least I like to think I have. I don't actively do those call outs unless it's my mother, then I'll call her out all the time because she's an irrational, manipulative, paranoid. Anyways, mother issues aside, there it goes again, mother issues, that's not logical, is it? Well, I mean, it's based in, it is logical, but it isn't logical. But it is, but it isn't. I'm having this argument with myself. I'm agreeing, but I'm still yelling. I feel like I'm playing D&D again. We're in agreement, but we're still yelling at each other. I wonder how many times that's happened for everyone. I'm going to name those instances D&D arguments, where you're in agreement, but you're still yelling at each other. We agree. Yes! Why are we still arguing? Welcome to the conversations between me and my father. But anyways, I like logic. I really do. It sounds really cool. Gods know I suck at it though, at times, usually. Saying that I don't probably means that I do, because saying that I don't is based on the emotional idea that I am correct, which inherently buggers the logic itself. Paradoxes. And that's not the first paradox I'm going to have to swallow. It's not the last one either. But That's the inherent thing with talking about this stuff. That's why I'm doing it, because it's a challenge to me to do it, just to do that. And it's probably a challenge for you just to listen to me do that. Whether because I'm telling you things you don't agree with, or because I'm telling you in such a way that you really don't like the way I present it. Either way, it's a challenge to us all. We're all being challenged here. I'm challenged this, challenged that, challenged to a duel, why ever not? But then again, like, I want to always adhere to logic, but I know that I can't. And the best I can do is tell myself that I'm being as logical as I can despite not being able to be 100% logical. And the best I can do is just sometimes even distract myself. And that's not even logical either, technically speaking. Because distraction is, by its inherent definition, avoiding of the problem. But sometimes I gotta do that just to make sure that I can address the problem. And there's another paradox. I can't address the problem without first distracting myself from it, so that I can come back to it in a more calmer state. And even now I'm riling myself up. Look at how self-aware this guy is, to knowing that he's riling himself up. Even when there's nobody to argue with, he manages to argue anyway. Welcome to the mindset of the average internet denizen. Oh boy, that'll go over the can of worms there. That's a fire starter if ever I heard one. But anyways, logic. Use it when you can. But then again, there's all these then-agains, and that's the problem with logic. It's a constant then again, because you have the inherent suck that humans are at logicking, so to speak. And I can English good, and I can word good, and my brain works fine, yeah, I swear. That almost physically hurt for me to say that. So, what then, I suppose? If you know you're never going to be able to be truly logical, what do you do then? The best you can do? But is the best you can do even what's best? Like, just because you're doing your best doesn't mean you're doing the best that can be done. If I do my best at this, that doesn't mean that's the best thing that can be done, but all I know is that I'm best at doing that, so I'm going to do that until it is the best thing that can be done. But that's not logical! The logical thing is to find what's best to be done, and to then do it, even if I'm not the best at it. But if I'm not the best at it, it's not logical to do it because I'm not the best at it. Oh boy. But if nothing else from this little rant I've done, just know that humans are absolutely ridiculous. Like, people are just so unfathomably incomprehensible in everything they do. That is there, then that begs the question, is there even a point to try to understand? Because every answer produces a dozen more questions. But then again, like, there's the idea of ignorance is bliss, but complacency threatens. Everything is a paradox. It's like that conversational phenomenon where any conversation, if continued long enough, will lead to World War II and inevitably Hitler. Like I think there's a phenomenon, I think there's a name for that, like the Hitler paradox or something, where every conversation, if carried for an infinite amount of time, will inevitably lead to Hitler. I mean, what can I even do about this? What is my word even going to mean? Am I actually spouting brilliance from my mouth, or am I just rambling like anyone else? Is anyone else rambling like anyone else, or are they spouting brilliance from their mouth? Is self-awareness brilliance or pretension? Is this knowledge of oneself good or bad? And I know I can't say for sure whether it's this or that, but if I don't, then that's not logical. No, it is logical, because I know that I'm not perfect, but it isn't logical because I'll tell someone all day that it's best to be as logical as possible, knowing full well that it can't be done, because the inherent fallibility of everything is in and of itself logical and illogical, but everything is a paradox, I suppose. I mean, if you were given the opportunity to have the answers, would you even take that? On the one hand, it would be logical to have the correct answer, but on the other hand, it becomes illogical because then there's no point. But is there supposed to be a point? And I have no doubt at all that these questions have plagued hundreds, if not thousands, for as long as humans have been humans, and as long as thought process and sentience have been a thing, this has probably been one of the biggest questions of them all. And I'm certainly not going to be able to answer that. I don't even think there is an answer, like a universal, like a definite this or that, because all souls are their own souls, and like my answers to why am I here is going to be different from yours, probably. I mean, the very idea of a universal yes or no, a universal this or that, is illogical in and of itself. It provides no room for other possibilities, which is not logical. Logic should include as many possibilities as possible, but then again, and I digress, or even am I? Or am I just trying to distract myself from the crushing weight of what I'm telling myself and what I'm saying here today? I'm running out of words here, but I'm sure I can find some more. Honestly, I think the reason I'm running out of words is just because I come to the realization even more so than before that that I can only say this in so many different ways that has likely been said by so many different people. I'm just one dude, I'm just one guy, but I'm not doing this because I believe it to be wrong. I do this because I'm believing it to be the correct thing to do for me. And I would tell you if you disagree that's to you, but I really can't tell you that because that's just pretentious. I get that there's differences. I don't have to like them all. I'll observe and respect some whilst condemning others because there's just such a spectrum on what these differences can be. Everything is its own thing. It's all these big concepts that don't boil down to the one point. They don't boil down to one answer. They don't do that. They just remain as they are. I mean, and you would say that's the point, is that the mystery isn't supposed to be solved, but is it even really a mystery? Is that the point? Is the point the mystery? Is it even a mystery? Because one could argue that's not a mystery. Because for all I know, we're the only species that really cares about the idea of the purpose of existence, and most other species in the universe just exist and live. And I know the idea of do more than exist, live, but do more than think, reflect, do more than talk, say something, do more than hear, understand, do more than look, observe, do more than exist, live. I get that. And what that entails is going to be different from me, than it is going to be different from the next guy, and then the one after that, and the one 3 feet over there, or something. There's no one 3 feet over there, by the way. And all the episodes are going to be like this, I guess. So, I mean, this is really going to be one of those units that either you love or you hate. There's not going to be an in-between, I don't think, for these. I heard a really great quote once. Humans are a species, probably one of the only species out there, that can take lemonade and turn it into lemons. If you think about that too hard, that makes sense. And then it doesn't make sense. And then it makes sense again, looping right back into not making sense. I'll definitely be talking about this kind of self-awareness that I've been undergoing later, because that plays into the school that the principle behind it is a heightened state of self-awareness. Basing its ideas in logic, I'd want to say, but considering oneself heightened in self-awareness might not be the most logical thing to say. So, logic has value, logic has problems. There's the good parts, there's the bad part, therein lies the rub of logic. Too much logic is bad for you, but there's no such thing as too much logic, right? Therein lies the rub indeed. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Knowledge Talk with me, Greg Laurel. If you want to keep yourself updated on episodes and never miss one, do go ahead and click that subscribe button below. If you got suggestions, comments, or even questions for me regarding the show's topic, or just about me in general, go ahead and leave a comment. I'm probably watching. So until next week, may warrior and scholar come together and help each other to return home in great victory.